Hello, it's Tania, Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to your Gemini full moon Astro-Numerology forecast. It happens on the 23rd of November, 5:39 a.m. London Universal Time, 12:39 a.m. New York, that is Eastern Savings Time, and then 9:39 p.m. LA Pacific Time on the 22nd of November, which is actually Thanksgiving Day here in the US. So this is the Thanksgiving full moon for those of us who celebrate on that long holiday weekend. For everyone else, this is really, really an important moment of the year because it begins 5 consecutive full moons that are at 0 degrees. The 0 point. So 0 degrees in astrology is a pivot point. It is a critical degree. And in April, the 6th full moon after those 5 0-degree full moons happens at 29 degrees, which is also a critical degree. So we have this real sense of your life shifting, pivoting. Something big is changing for you over these next few months. So really pay attention to that. And this is the onset of those full moons at 0 degrees, bringing new beginnings, culminations. And since we're entering 2019 shortly, 19 is a 10 and a 1 in numerology, which is also about new beginnings. So not only did we have this 11 universal year throughout 2018, which is the double new beginnings, there's even more coming. So just hold on to your seats because things just are in that fluid changing energy. And Gemini is a sign that is mutable, which also signifies change and flexibility, being adaptable, seeing things from different perspective. So with Gemini, there can also be a reactive energy because you're not initiating, you're reacting to what's in front of you. So mutable energy is very creative. It's not as action oriented. And this full moon is super creative. There's an aspect with Mars I'm going to go into in a sec that just stimulates your creativity since Mars just moved into Pisces. Now, Gemini governs communication. So it governs how we think about things, how we talk to ourselves, how we share our ideas with others, how we share our feelings, the words we use. So you really want to observe closely how you're speaking, thinking, what you're focusing on. Often our attention is placed on mindless things or mindless chatter, and we're not even conscious of what we're actually focusing on, what we're thinking about. So this Gemini full moon is a great time to pay close attention to the language you use and the thoughts that are present, but unconsciously present in your life. And you really want to notice if you're more negatively inclined, how that affects you emotionally when your thoughts are negative self-talk, and switch your focus to what is positive and spend time with people with whom you can speak in a positive way because your vibrational state is so impacted by, of course, what you place your attention on, right? That's obviously clear, but when we're in that unconscious state, we forget that. Now, the sun is conjunct Jupiter. That means they're together in the heavens. Jupiter just entered its own sign of Sagittarius again. Jupiter has a 12-year cycle around the zodiac, so this is really wonderful. This happened just a week or so ago, so you feel very optimistic. You're much more broad-minded and magnanimous and generous and very, very enthusiastic, and you just feel more gratitude. You just are more positively engaged in your future, which is really helpful for this Gemini full moon because your thoughts are naturally more in that optimistic frame of mind. Now, with Jupiter, the shadow side, and with Sagittarius, because of this conjunction to the sun, this is important. You want to guard against proclaiming that you are correct and somebody else is not. So putting your beliefs ahead of somebody else's. So your belief system is not the only valid one, and as much as we feel completely connected to what we believe in, we don't want to superimpose our storyline onto anybody else, and that you need to guard against at this time. Now, I mentioned Gemini is a mutable sign, and mutability is flexibility, change. There are 7 planets in mutable signs at the time of this full moon. Not only Jupiter and Sun in Sagittarius, but Mercury is also in Sagittarius. Mars, Chiron, and Neptune are in Pisces now, because Mars just entered Pisces after being in Aquarius for many months because of its retrograde. And then we have the moon in Gemini, of course, to create the Gemini full moon. So let's look at that. The moon is in Gemini at 0 degrees, opposite the sun in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. The sun is conjunct Jupiter at 3 degrees, which is all about creativity. So your joy is dependent on you sharing it in a verbal or musical or dance, art, in that way. And then it's also conjunct, the sun is also conjunct Mercury retrograde at 10 degrees. Now, Mercury rules this Gemini full moon. So this brings a huge Mercury intensification to the full moon. And since Mercury is in retrograde now, you'll want to consider things more carefully. Because Jupiter is also part of this equation, right, with Mercury and the sun, and Jupiter will magnify how you communicate your ideas. So you're going to have a bigger expanded vision, and you're going to want to share that, words or expressing yourself in writing, but you want to be careful about exaggerating things. And Mercury takes you within. You really want to rely on that intuition right now. It's very important during a retrograde not to project, but to really look at, well, what is actually the root cause of how I'm approaching this situation? Now, Mercury is square to Neptune as well. Again, Mercury rules this full moon, so this is important. And it's an exact square. This is very powerful. It awakens your imagination. It really awakens your creative pursuits, focusing on dreams, focusing on, things that are really fueling your vision. But here's the thing. You don't want to focus on like things that are not real. Neptune is about the mellifluous, the watery, the dreamy side of things. And so when there's a square with Mercury retrograde, we may not focus on the facts, we may focus on fiction. So be very clear about what the truth actually is. And because Neptune on the following day, the day after the full moon, is stationing direct, it is very, very powerful right now. When the long, slow planets, including Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, when they change direction, that's the time they really impact us the most, because they're literally stopping for a long time and then moving in another direction. And Neptune is in the process of doing that. And it's doing it at 13 degrees in Pisces, and we're in a 13 universal month in November. This is very powerful. 13 is the divine feminine number. It's the transformation number. It's a life, death, rebirth number. It's the empowerment number. And so you really need to look at what is coming up within you from a very receptive feminine side, but also empowering you as opposed to creating deception or manipulation, right? This is the key. Now, the other key to this full moon is to understand there's a T-square with Mars. Now, T-square is when we got two planets opposite each other, which are the sun and moon in a full moon, and then we got another planet 90 degrees from both. In this case, it's Mars. Now, this is a triangle of action in many ways, but Mars is now in Pisces, which is more about receptivity. So there's a combination of action and being in a very more quiet place. So you need to really, at this point, integrate and stand up for who you are. Mars always stands up for something. It's firing up your internal engines for you manifesting what your divine mission is, what your vision is. Remember, I'm bringing this all together now. So you may resist embracing change at first with this square, this T-square, but you can proceed with confidence nonetheless. So just be aware of that. If you have this due to lack of sleep or whatever, you resist the change, just take a time out, get some rest, and you will have the confidence to proceed, because Mars gives you that fuel to proceed, and a square is very, very activating. So you will not have obstacles to move forward. Now, since Jupiter conjunct Sun and opposite Moon is providing such a positive impact, this T-square with Mars can be used proactively. So you want to move forward at this time with your visions of the future. Jupiter also rules the future. Don't take no for an answer. Now, I want to mention here too that this is happening on the 23rd Universal Time. 23 is the royal star of the lion number. It's very empowering. It gives you a lot of courage, just like Mars gives you that courage. So the main themes around this full moon are that your life is pivoting, your life is changing. This is the onset of really a 6-month full moon cycle of change. Jupiter's move into Sagittarius is the beginning of a 12-year cycle of joy, Jupiter in its own sign, and the sun, as we know, is in Sagittarius at this full moon. Venus just ended her retrograde, yay! So there's forward momentum with love and with financial, anything to do with abundance. Mercury just went retrograde in Sagittarius, which is bringing your mind into what brings me joy. You're focusing on that. Uranus changed into Taurus earlier this year, which is really a powerful multi-year sojourn in Taurus. And even though it just dipped back into Aries for a short little retrograde period, by March it's going to be back into Taurus until 2025. Another change, and Uranus is the planet of change. And finally, the lunar nodes also just changed signs a few days ago, and that will last for 18 months. So you can see all this change energy is being magnified by this Gemini full moon. Something is shifting you to the core. It will and is resulting in a transformation, a rebirth in a part of your life, maybe your whole life. You will understand what that transformation is as we move down the road over the next 6 months. And Jupiter and Sagittarius, they just ask you to trust in the process of this shift. And Gemini asks you to speak the truth. So this full moon will really empower you to live your life in total alignment with your soul code. And to find out more about your soul code, what your life purpose is, what your destiny is, what your potential is, your birth potential now and into the future, then click on this link because it'll take you to a free 90-minute webinar that is all about your birth code, how you can leverage it, what it means, how you can read other people in your life. It's really fun. I really think you'll enjoy it because you'll want to delve deeper into your own star code map, right? So have an amazing full moon, and I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks for the Capricorn new moon. Bye-bye for now.